You will not believe your ears if I tell you there is a car with only one unit produced in the whole world. Yeah, you heard that right. I'm gonna give you a list of the rarest Ford Mustangs in existence. If you can't sit for 5 minutes to watch, then you will definitely miss out on this car with only a single unit produced. Number 8. 2011 Ford Mustang Shelby 1000. Before Carroll Shelby passed away in 2012, the 2011 Shelby 1000 was the last vehicle he constructed. The Shelby 1000, which debuted at the 2012 New York International Auto Show, is the most powerful and swiftest Shelby Mustang ever made by Shelby American Inc. There were just 23 constructed, making it very rare. Based on the Mustang GT500, the 1000 incorporates modifications to the driveshaft, coilover suspension, brakes, headers, exhaust, fuel system, interior, chassis, and body. The Shelby crew hand-built the intercooled supercharged engine, adding upgraded fuel and cooling systems, ported heads, and forged internals. A 1,000 horsepower 5.4-liter modified motor built by Ken Bell sits beneath the bonnet. It is mated to a 6-speed manual Tremec TR6060 transmission and has large Willwood 6-piston stoppers all around. Thanks to unique wide-body conversion and 11 by 20-inch front and 12.5 by 20-inch rear rims, the 1000 features a thick stance. Number 7. 1979 Ford Mustang SVP M81 McLaren. The 1979 Ford Mustang SVP M81 McLaren made it to number 7 on the list, and this is what makes this car so special. For those who love cars, the 1970s were difficult because of the oil crisis, which compelled automakers to lower the power and, consequently, the attraction of their cars. The Ford Mustang was no different. In fact, the automobile didn't gain real power until the 1990s, even though the third-generation Fox body Mustang was supposed to herald the vehicle's gradual but steady comeback to prominence. Nevertheless, a few limited editions during the 1970s and 1980s attempted to address that, and one of them was the outcome of an improbable partnership. Among all the businesses, McLaren assisted Ford in giving the Fox body some vitality. The 175 horsepower generated by the 2.3-liter Turbo 4, which was simply the Pinto engine with a turbocharger, represented an increase of 33 horsepower above the normal car's output. The automobile was excruciatingly sluggish. Even with a 5-speed manual available in production cars, it completed the quarter mile in 17.37 seconds at 79.2 miles per hour. 10 of the 249 M81 Mustangs that were intended were produced. Number 6. 1971 Ford Mustang Shelby Europa. Coming in at number 6, we have the 1971 Ford Mustang Shelby Europa with only 9 units produced. The Ford Mustang was only offered for sale in North America for a considerable amount of time. It wasn't until the S550 was released that the Ford Mustang gained international traction. Claude Dubois, a Belgian Shelby dealer, was able to sell 14 of the modified first-generation Ford Mustangs in 1971 and 1972. The Mach 1 chassis served as the basis for the European Mustang Shelby models, which were powered by 351 or 428 cubic inch V8 engines. Only 2 of the 9 cars were convertibles. 1987 saw the theft of a red coupe, one of the 3 Mustang Shelby Europas, which was never found. The front and rear spoilers, as well as the adjustable front suspension with Coney shocks, were features unique to the European Shelby cars. The power ratings were 400 and 360 horsepower respectively. Number 5. 1965 Ford Mustang Ferguson AWD. This car made it to number 5 on the list because it has just 3 units produced. Isn't that shocking? Here's the reason why. The idea of a Ford Mustang with all-wheel drive was nearly unthinkable prior to the release of the all-electric Mustang Mach-E. But this kind of vehicle was unveiled practically right away following the creation of the first Mustang. The first all-wheel drive system for passenger cars was developed by Ferguson Research, a UK-based business, when Ford was trying to increase the Mustang's popularity, not that it had any issues with that. They were obviously trying to promote their concept, which would later be used in the Jensen FF, an Interceptor variant with 4-wheel drive. After an agreement was reached, Ford sent 2 65 Mustangs with 289 V8 engines to England. There, they were equipped with a permanent all-wheel drive system that sent 63% of the vehicle's torque to the back wheels. Although the technology was excellent, Ford bean counters determined it would add excessive complexity and increase the cost of the automobile. Number 4. 1965 Ford Mustang GT350R. Yeah, some will ask the reasons why the 1965 Ford Mustang GT350R is in number 4 on the list. This is why. For the car industry, the mid-1960s was an intriguing period. In SCCA racing, the Chevrolet Corvette was dominating, while Ford had just introduced the new Mustang Coupe in 1964. But unlike now, the Mustang was not seen as a purebred muscle vehicle back then. Instead, it sent more of an image of a secretary's automobile than anything related to work because of its subpar performance. This plus, of course, the competition between Ford and Chevy forced Ford to devise a remedy. The GT350 program, which was entrusted with creating a Mustang that could compete with the SCCA Corvettes, was the answer. Two prototypes, albeit with some notable modifications, based on the new Mustang were the ultimate product of the GT350 program. The interiors were reduced to their most basic components. The rear quarter glass was swapped out for lightweight aluminum, and acrylic panels were used in place of all the glass that remained. The second prototype weighed in at a mere 2,550 pounds and could reach 60 miles per hour in around 5.5 seconds, as well as complete a quarter mile in 13.6 seconds. These are rather fast times for the time. These prototypes were powered by significantly modified 289 cubic inch Ford V8 engine that produced about 350 horsepower. Jerry Tuttis and Ken Miles would go on to race both vehicles and win races. Number 3. 1967 Ford Shelby Mustang GT500 convertible. How is it possible to have just one unit of a car produced? Ford and Shelby were collaborating nicely by the time 1967 arrived. A total of 562 Shelby Mustangs, including 506 street production models, were produced by Shelby in 1965. That figure shot up to an astounding 2,378 in 1966, of which 1,356 were street cars and the remaining 999 were Hertz vehicles. However, if you look at the 1967 model year, you'll notice that not even a street vehicle, but just one GT500 fastback prototype was made. And that's the vehicle we're discussing today, the one and only 1967 Shelby GT500 convertible. To cut a long tale short, Shelby was given the go-ahead to alter the appearance of the 1967 GT500 convertible, such that parts would not fit the production vehicles that Ford was giving Shelby. This prevented the convertible from going into mass production. Production was halted because Shelby evidently needed to redesign its entire components catalog for the 1967 GT500. The 67 GT500 convertible was practically forgotten about when Ford moved Shelby manufacturing in-house shortly after, making it one of the rarest convertible Mustangs ever made. It's the only convertible Mustang in Ford history to feature dual carburetors, if that's not reason enough for you. Number 2. 2006 Ford Mustang Giugiaro. The neo-retro styling of the S197 Mustang inspired several well-known designers. The notion of making the retro-futuristic Ford Mustang more streamlined and akin to a European sports vehicle was one of them. This is precisely what Italian designer Giugiaro Giorgetto accomplished in 2006. From the A-pillar, which sat at a 45-degree angle, to every other part of the S197 Mustang, the director of the Ital design spared no expense. The Giugiaro Mustang is thought to have been influenced by the 1966 Mustang Mach 1 concept, which had very similar proportions. However, this is not proven. A 5-speed manual transmission was paired with a 500 horsepower supercharged 4.6-liter V8 engine. The inside was more upscale and resembled an elite European sports vehicle, even though it still had the same timeless appearance. There were also scissor doors included. The idea was completely operational and was even spearheaded by Giorgetto Giugiaro. Finally, at number 1, we have the 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429 LID. What makes this car so rare? Let's find out. Not only is the Ford Mustang Boss 429 a legendary vehicle, but it's also a legendary American muscle car. Its 429 cubic inch V8 was built for NASCAR racing and was famously undervalued. In addition, its weight contributed to the car's poor handling. The weight distribution of the original automobile was a poor 51.5 over 48.5. Ford made the decision to test the idea of mounting the engine in the back as a result. The Boss 429 LID, a mid-engine variant of the vehicle, was created. Carcraft and Ford Special Vehicles had a key role in the development of the vehicle. The 429 V8 and C6 automatic transmission were also rotated 180 degrees, as was the 9-inch rear axle itself. Even though the automobile was completely working, it was ultimately determined that the profits weren't substantial enough to justify the expense. Thank you for staying through till the end. Hit the subscribe button and don't forget to watch our previous videos.